Trying to find a place I went wrong. I got a couple problems, but I'll make it alone. I can't write all my wrongs, but I can write them in songs.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Markeith,
the one and only Too Smooth,
and welcome back to
Man Cave. Y'all like that sign? I know. It's an Amazon special.
So today's episode, we're gonna talk a lot about self-inflicted wounds.
Yep.
You know, so we're just gonna hop straight into it.
Right.
And the first question we have is like, why do we do it? Is it on purpose or is it accidental?
I think that's a tricky question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm gonna say both though, because I know that in my experience, I've had plenty that were on purpose. Ooh. But then I've had a lot of them that were also just accidental too. Mm-hmm. Like I just didn't know. You know, I didn't know any better. So I'm gonna go with both. Final answer.
Okay. I would definitely say that it is indeed both. And sometimes it starts out as accidental and then becomes purpose. It's kind of like the synonym was made like with like, for example, drug abusers. They're kind of like, you know, causing them self-inflicted. I won't necessarily say wounds, not a wound. Self-inflicted addiction. You know, we had this discussion whether it was like, you know, a disease or a choice. You know, and I was trying to say it started out as a choice, as an accident, well, purposeful, but then after a while it became a disease. But in this case, it started off accidental, like, oh, well, maybe let's try this out. Then after a while, you're kind of like, well, I'm gonna keep doing it. So I think there's I think there's a lot of the same with self-inflicted wounds. But as to why we do it, that can preach in itself.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of different reasons why, though. I think it really just depends on the wound. You know what I'm saying? Or on what it is that you're inflicting on yourself. So I'll put my business on Front Street. I ain't ashamed of nothing.
Come on now.
What I'm saying? I think that for me, one of the I get tickled because this is a shameful part of my past.
I feel that.
You know, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? For me, there was a point in time where I just wanted to feel loved. Mm-hmm. I wanted to feel complete. I wanted to feel whole. So in that, I ended up tying myself to various women who I knew I did not need to be around, that I did not need to be with or have any type of communication with, did not need to do nothing with, all of that. You know, and so my reason was because I was lonely. I was just wanted, you know, I feel like everybody wants to be loved. I wanted to be loved. I was heartbroken. And let's, you know, call a spade a spade. I was just wild. You know? Because when you get down to it, you know, it was still my decision, but that was my why, you know, and I own up to that. And so because of that, I did some dumb things. And I you know, had to deal with the consequences and the repercussions.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I would say that was one of mine as well. But I'm driving a little further for me. I've always wanted to feel, you know, like needed or important. You know what I mean?
I definitely understand.
So I would sit up here and, like, you know, put other people's needs above mine. Mm-hmm. And it was people that I knew. Not I think, but I know. I know what I know. I know that I know that I know. Mm-hmm. Did not give 2 cents about me at all. And did not even have my best interest at heart. So, and I would still give so much to them and still be up here surprised and hurt when they sat up here and played me like a doggone fool. Right. Up here crying, up here hurt, up here upset. People don't do nothing but do me wrong. It's your fault. You sat up here, put yourself in a position. Yeah. See, that's why I started to say it loud. I call myself, you know.
Yeah, progressing not perfect.
Amen.
But no, I definitely feel that though. It's like, if you know it ain't raining outside, and somebody that's your friend standing behind you, you gonna believe that that's rain is the reason that the back is that your back is wet? No, he's peeing on you. Okay, in case you ain't never heard how it go, don't pee on my back and tell me that it's raining outside. Okay, but now like a lot of times we get ourselves into dumb situations, and the why is just it really just depends. You know, I can think of some more examples. I could be all day sitting here with self-inflicted problems, but I really liked what you said a minute ago about putting other people's needs above you. That was one of the issues I had because I thought that it made me more of a man. I thought that it validated my manhood. And so I would purposely make myself last in every situation, you know, take care of everybody else. And then at the end of the day, I'd be like, you know, well, I'm supposed to feel good about myself, but now I feel played when everybody overlooking me, and ain't nobody worried about me. And you know, I'm secretly mad, but I'm not gonna say nothing because you know that's self-inflicted. That's really stupid. Like,
yeah.
At what point do you do better?
Ooh, I feel seen. But okay, but so like, what are some things that are self-inflicted that we might not notice?
Man, whew. I can tell you from just experience and from knowing how a man's mind works. Women problems. Okay, I said woman. But women problems. Okay, a lot of times they're self-inflicted. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Y'all not gonna like me for this one. Y'all not gonna like me.
Preach on, Pastor.
But it's okay. Because half y'all probably don't like me anyway. You don't know me. It's fine. Like I said, we have these needs. We have the desires. I'm not going to say needs. We have these desires to feel loved. We have these desires to feel needed. We have these desires to feel popular. We have desires to feel validated. We have desires to feel like men, you know? And so I think that that is a big factor in why we will get into relationships and stuff that we don't need to be in. And we know good and well that we're hurting ourselves, but we do it anyway. And then when the consequences roll around and now you have low self-esteem, you mad at everybody but you. You know, you mad at Susie from round the block because you like, oh, she tore my self-esteem down. She made me feel this type of way. But you knew that you didn't have no business with her. That is self-inflicted. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, that is true. But I also say self-inflicted wounds are often ones that you don't address.
Oh, that's good
like,
too.
For example, if I know for a fact that I absolutely hate when you call me a certain name, okay, and because I almost said the nickname my grandmother gave me.
Oh, you should have said that.
Absolutely not. I'm not putting that out there. Grandmother only. So if I know that I absolutely hate when you call me that name, but yet I don't tell you, and instead I laugh. I enable you. I don't address it. I just be like, oh, I'm gonna just laugh. You know, it hurt. Just laugh it off because everybody else is laughing, whatever. Right. I don't address that. Then that becomes a self-inflicted wound because because instead of you addressing it and then like, you know, possibly even stopping it or removing yourself from that, or to be like, hey, it's not funny. I don't like that.
Right.
You're allowing it to continue, and then now you're putting the blame on them when really you should have been said something.
Right. And I feel like that's the problem with self-inflicted wounds. We always want to blame everybody else, but we never take accountability for the fact that we did it to ourselves.
Yes.
You know, like another really big self-inflicted wound is, wow, I just had it now. I really don't have it anymore. So I'm going to find another one. Other self-inflicted wound, I would say is being ignorant. Because I feel like you can start out being ignorant and it's like, okay, you don't know, right? But if you know that you don't know something, why would you not try and educate yourself? See, self-inflicted wounds can also, they're not always just what you do. Sometimes they're what you don't do. Like you were saying, sometimes you don't speak up. Sometimes it's just me not figuring out the answer to a problem or not figuring out, you know, what it is I need to do to reach a certain goal. And you try to blame everybody else, but it's like that is self-inflicted. I'm gonna give you a good example. Let's just be honest. A lot of y'all can't read. Y'all know when it was y'all was in elementary school and they did that popcorn reading, and they called on you, and you shamed yourself, you shamed your mama, you shamed your daddy, you shamed your grandmother, you shamed the whole generation of people because you couldn't read. But guess what? If you are 23 years old, and look me in my eyes when I tell you this, if you are 23 years old and you still can't read, that's your fault. That is a self-inflicted wound, right?
Yes.
Because you knew that you was ignorant. Excuse me, that's bad language. You knew that you were ignorant. Why did you not take it upon yourself to go and learn to read?
That's bad language. Says again.
Now you're 23 and you cannot read. And now you look crazy. You go out on a date and y'all looking at the menu and she's gonna leave because you can't pronounce half the stuff that's on the menu. That is self-inflicted.
That is self-inflicted, and it's mainly self-inflicted because what efforts have you taken to change that? Now,
Exactly.
if you had tried, you should be trying still
Right.
until
You
you're
ought
right.
to be able to read at 23.
I mean,
It don't take that long.
everybody's lives are different now.
If you're trying, keep working.
Exactly. Like if you were trying to remedy the problem, then that's entirely different. But to just sit there and remain, to remain in whatever that problem is that you are having, that is just, Lord have mercy. That I don't even want to say that's even self-inflicted wound. I would more so say this kind of just like self-sabotage at this point.
Yeah.
Like it goes from self-inflicted wound to self-sabotaging. Like you're just
Definitely.
sabotaging yourself at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But something else that I don't think people notice is a self-inflicted wound is I gotta say this properly now.
Okay.
If I don't, I might get my
Take
head
your
chopped
time.
off. I might be crucified. A self-inflicted wound would be you allowing certain things to happen.
Okay, you gotta give us some more.
I'm going to get more on that. Like for example, soul ties.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Those are real self-inflicted
Oh,
wounds.
those are
Because
very
you
much
decided
self-inflicted wounds.
to go ahead and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and whether you did it well or not, like you, you sat there.
All right.
I'm trying to talk
sorry.
here.
Go ahead.
You sat here and you allowed yourself, you allowed a soul tie to form. And then after that, whatever happened after that happens. You like all kinds of hurt, anger, pain, and all kinds of things happened afterwards. And now you sit up here sad, upset, hurt, when things hit the fan. When in actuality, you could have stopped it at the root.
Mm-hmm.
You could have stopped it at the root. And honestly, a lot of people don't see, engaging in sexual intercourse as self-sabotage in the moment, truly. But until when they see the collateral damage it leaves afterwards.
Right.
But it is, really.
No, I definitely agree with that. And, guys, if you're going to do something, do it well. And I'm going to stop there. I'm not encouraging. I'm not enabling. But if you're going to do something, do it well. But anyway, moving forward, I definitely agree with that because like you were saying earlier, a self-inflicted wound is like, okay, maybe my heart was broken, so I slept around with this chick this one time. And then you learned after that time that this is not something that I need to do. This is not the way that I need to live. There's a better quality of life out there. But instead, you decide to make a pattern out of it, and then it becomes self-sabotage. I definitely agree with that. And I think that's something that we have to be more aware of because there are a lot of really small things that essentially, prohibit us from being all that we can be. And I think that, being sexually active outside of the marriage bed is definitely a huge one. But we're gonna have to make a whole nother episode on that.
Right.
Promise. promise that we will have a whole nother episode on that.
Exactly, because I know it'd be hard out here, y'all, because the flesh be acting up. Okay, but like really, it comes with a lot of discipline. If you haven't seen it, watch from season 1. Go back and get that.
Right.
But
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So what I want to know.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll pack my stuff and I'll go home.
I'm sorry, I got a little scared. Go ahead.
Okay. No. What I want to know. How do you notice when you are inflicting damage on yourself?
When
just give the guys some knowledge on that, some insight on that.
When
what you think.
When you keep pointing your fingers at everyone else, yet all the fingers are pointing back at you. Every single one. Now, everybody can't be lying now. Every last person who said that you sit up here and you tear everything up, they all can't be lying now. Like truly, I had to use this visual effect for a client, because my teacher used it, so I used it for that client. Now and then it's just like everybody around me keeps saying I'm angry and stuff like that. So therefore they don't want to be around me. You're lonely now because you can't keep your anger in check. That is self-sabotage. And then now that loneliness you feel is a self-inflicted wound.
Right.
But and I was just like, okay, cool. So I got a bunch of pens and pencils. I said, okay, tell me everybody who said that you feel, that you're angry, because you kept saying I'm not an angry person. Like my mama threw that pencil down. I threw just about every pencil down, and when I had one left, I said, "Now stop." I said, "Now you still have more to go, right?" He's like, "I guess so, probably." I said, "All right, but look at all these pencils on the ground. Everybody say you got anger issues except you. So you mean to tell me that this one person is right and everybody down here is tripping, right?" He was like, "Oh,
that's a really good analogy.
Well, I might have a little bit of a problem then."
At least he realized it.
Exactly.
No, that's actually really good. I think another way that if you are just constantly inflicting pain on yourself is if you are constantly the common denominator.
Yes.
Like if in every situation you're like, "Oh, well, this girl broke my heart and she wasn't the one for me," but you have 10 of those same stories, that means you're not doing a good job of picking, meaning that it is your fault. Am I saying that person is justified in how they may have treated you or whatever the situation is, whatever. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is when you're the common denominator, you need to start looking at yourself. That's what I'm saying.
Truly. And honestly, it's always kind of hard to call yourself out because people love to play victim.
Oh yeah.
Like I've seen so many people play victim, man. Like I'm just like, well, dang, who the killer?
Right.
Like who actually shot the person? Who actually dealt the final blow? But like honestly, like when you in a lot of situations lately, because I've had a lot of self-inflicted wounds myself,
We all have.
And I at some point I found myself like, okay, you not right, Marquis. Like obviously something not adding up. So I literally had to sit down and be like, okay, so each problem, like if all your problems sound the same, like he said, because I was kind of like, oh, this problem sounds the same, this sounds the same. Let me look at these situations. I was like, oh well, dang, the same thing kind of happened. I kind of just blew up, kind of just okay. You kind of have to be real with yourself,
right?
Because self-inflicted wounds, they're always, I would kind of say, the worst. Like they hurt a little bit more than when other people inflict them, because with self-inflicted wounds, you often don't notice them, or you often refuse to recognize them, or you just don't feel them until much later.
And I think that's a good point too, of just like, self-inflicted wounds are kind of like the silent killers.
Yes.
Because if you're not aware of them, you'll spend your whole life blaming everybody else and, like you said, playing victim. But it's like you never stop to look at yourself. That's why I think it takes a really high level of personal awareness to really be able to look at yourself and be like, you know what? I was wrong in this situation. That's on me. You know what I'm saying? Or to be able to look at yourself and say, I can do better. And to not make those same mistakes, those same decisions over and over again, because at a point they do become decisions. And to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result is the literal definition of insanity. I just wanted to throw that in there. That always makes me sound educated, you know. People like that definition.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say it's a little bit psychotic. Not from a professional standpoint, just from a personal standpoint. That's not the definition, you know, professional standpoint. But personally, I think it's a bit psychotic. So how to avoid it?
I think the first way to avoid a self-inflicted wound. Well, can I backtrack for a second? I just want to throw one little nugget in there. You also have to not be prideful, because like if your pride is blocking your vision, you can't see your own mess. You can't look in your mirror if all you see is your ego. So you have to humble yourself to be able to call yourself out on your own foolishness and keep people around you.
And brothers out here refuse to let go of anything remotely similar to pride.
Yeah, and we have to do better with that. You know, that's something we all have to work on consistently. But what was the question you asked me?
Oh, how to avoid it? Pretty much the last two answers you gave was pretty much like,
oh, low key, huh?
Yeah, avoiding it. So I guess I'll throw mine in there. How to avoid self-inflicted wounds? Kind of. I mean, those are the major ways.
But you also got to think too. You know, I think one of the best ways to avoid a self-inflicted wound is to really take time and think things through before you make a decision.
Yes.
Because when you do things on impulse, you don't think about the consequences. You don't think about how it affects people around you. You don't think about how it affects you. You just do things. And so when you do things off impulse, you know, you may not realize that, like, oh crap. Like, it's like if you have a grenade and you're surrounded by a bunch of people, right? You're like, oh, I can blow my way out of here. But then you pull the pin and you throw it and you don't realize you're going to get caught in the blast too. Now you missing two legs. You know what I'm saying? And never mind. Now you're missing two legs and you have to go through life, you know, crippled.
Yeah. And I honestly, that's me. I'm a very that's my self-inflicted, you know, thing. Like, I'm extremely impulsive, like to a fault, but I'm aware of it though, and I try my best to do better and to just not let it, you know, just be such a driving force. And I had gotten better at it, and then like lately, you know, like when enemies start attacking, it kind of like Sarah Jake said in one of her sermons. It's called The System. Operating outside the system or something. I forgot exactly how she said it, but that girl preached that thing, and she was kind of like saying how like the devil ain't that busy. You know, pretty much all he has to do is reintroduce you to an old habit or an old system, and you will start doing the work yourself.
Oh, that is very
so like, you know, of course, you know, that's pretty much all it's been for me. You introduce me to that old thing, I'm just like, oh, I'm taking off running until I realize, wait, what am I doing?
Right.
You know. And so, but that, and also I would say another big thing though is to like pray on it. Like, and I don't just mean just on like, "Ooh, Lord, show it to me, amen." No, I mean like you gotta use that. You like, I don't think people have to understand. You know, a good friend of mine told me this. You know, she real smart. You know, she real saved and everything. She told me that prayer is strategy. You know, like when you pray, you have to have a strategy.
Yeah. Prayer
is strategy, like, and so like you really have to be real strategic when you're praying. You know, often I like to use scripture when I'm praying because the Lord said He will honor His word. Right. So you know what? That's what I'm using when I'm praying. You know, so just you know, the one I use most of the time, because you know, whenever I can't think of nothing else while I'm down there, I'd be like, Lord, for your word says, lean not on your own understanding, but in always acknowledge you when you start making my path straight, Lord. So point me in the straight way, okay? Because I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. Am I right about this or this and that or whatever? And you know, kind of just do that. So really, really consult with the Lord, because He gonna check you every time.
I definitely agree with that. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, you know, I think not only should you pray about things, but I also think that you should take the time to really learn, you know, because there's how do I want to put it? So, you know, there are multiple ways to do things, but I think that our goal should be in life to find the best ways to do things. You know, because you can get to the same result from a lot of different ways, but you want to use an effective way that doesn't hurt you or anybody else in the process. And so I think that not only is the knowledge good, but then the application of that knowledge, because you can have the knowledge and not use it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen plenty of people who know the rules of the road and don't follow them. Like, I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of that. We all speed. We all run a red light here and there, you know?
No, indeed.
Like, I know you're not talking. But,
okay, not
you
too
know,
much.
you know, you want to use wisdom, and wisdom is the application of that knowledge. And so I would also say just compare things to the Word of God, because after all, that is our blueprint. That is how we are supposed to live our lives. Like you were saying, pray through things, you know, pray through scripture and see, you know, well, what does the Word say I should do about this situation? How should I respond to X, Y, and Z? And you'll realize that those are the best ways to do things, you know, and you can make that a pattern throughout your life. And I promise you, I know that it will change your life and will change your decision making, which ultimately will lower your self-inflicted wounds.
No, you better preach on this good, whatever today is.
I don't know what day it is either, but
evening.
more like night.
Yeah. But yeah, so making better decisions, learning the best way possible to go through these things, to process these things, to make yourself aware, you know. And like I said, like you said, the best decision is a lot like following God's word and seeing what he says about it. And truly, like I say, everything is different for everybody. You know, you may decide to do things like David. You know, just hope you don't.
He had a whole lot of self.
Yeah, a whole lot of
There are
self-inflicted
plenty of
wounds.
examples of people who have self-inflicted wounds.
Or be like Paul, or you know, all kinds of people in the Bible. You know who these people is? Go read them.
Yeah, just you know, just take that time, like I said, use that knowledge, and then apply that knowledge.
Exactly.
Right?
But also, tying back to one of our other episodes, self-inflicted wounds may come from trauma. But
That's true.
But hey, that's much deeper. But got anything for the folk today?
Let's see. My parting words today would be, I'm really not sure. Let me think about it.
Okay, well,
You
let
go
me know
ahead.
then.
You got it.
You know, my parting words would be stop. And not just stop, but stop and think before you do it. Cause like my thing is like a lot of the times you may or may not already be aware. And so if you kind of have like an inkling of an idea or if you just realize that you're always finding yourself in the same place, stop where you are and think. Try to process it. And just like it's at the end of the day, we're not perfect. You're gonna be causing all kinds of self-inflicted wounds from here until the day you die. You know, but let's at least try to minimize it and be aware. That way we're not sitting up here bleeding out from our own injuries rather than from what life already beating us up about already.
Definitely. I have my parting words. I would say surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. If you are the smartest person in your friend group, that's problematic. Everybody should have a strength. And I'm going to tie this together because it probably sounds random, right? But what I mean that is you need to have people around you who can help identify that for you. You know what I'm saying? People who can help you work through that. People who can pull you to the side and be like, you know what? You're causing yourself a lot of unnecessary problems right now. You know, you need those kind of people. And you have to be humble. Once again, you got to put that pride to the side. Man, I get it. Put that pride in the trunk and close it. Just roll. You know what I'm saying? Put that pride to the side and be willing to look outside of yourself at yourself.
What? Because you call me on so much stuff so many times. I was like, okay, Jared, dang, when am I ever right?
But I mean, you know, we do that for each other.
Exactly.
You know?
So yeah, but like I said, like he said, just be willing to accept what somebody says. Because it could have been plenty of times he called me out and I'm like, what? That's like, you know, because, yeah. But anyways, that's what we have on self-inflicted wounds.
Man, y'all be easy. Let's make better decisions. And ultimately, let's be better men.
Trying to find a place I went wrong. I got a couple problems, but I'll make it alone. I can't right on my wrongs, but I can write them in songs.